want some, get some, bad enough, take some.
Hello, welcome to episode 98 of Fanging and Banging with Gangrel. And is it Fanging and Banging with Gangrel? Yeah, we're missing Nicole. But I'm sorry, she's not pretty. But we got Shady Ray over the corner. But we have a special guest. We're here in Vegas. Mr. Tom Devlin, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, exciting times, right? We're on the eve. It's not the eve. It is the eve. It's the eve of the After Dark premiere.
Yeah.
And wow. And I guess we'll get to that, but I'm not much of an interviewer, so you got to forgive me. So if you want to do your own interview, you can handle it yourself, and you can take the lead at any wheel. But I know Raymond had gave me some notes and stuff. He wanted to go back, and he kind of wanted you to explain a little bit of your journey, like from special effects artist and how you started it, and then how you came to wanting to direct horror movies, and then and then what's the difference in your passions? Did you have more of a passion for one or the other? Or is it equally, or is it they go together, pain and pleasure contributing to one ultimate bliss? But yeah, sure. So why don't you get yeah?
The whole story goes back about 25 years. Becoming a makeup effects artist. I grew up in the Northeast in Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania,
little place called East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, in the Poconos. The funny thing is, you brought up this is episode number 98.
98.
So if you, we'll get to it, but the latest thing that I've done.
I felt really, really weird because I didn't have my glasses.
You gotta put the shades on.
I felt naked. There's no fangs. Fangs are on and off at times. But no glasses. I felt really, really weird. I don't mean to be disrespectful to you.
Hey, I'll take it.
And not to sidetrack you, but this is episode 98.
So
you said it's a special
98, kind of the beginning of my journey to this whole wacky world that I've created, and the most latest thing that you're involved with, the After Dark. In 1998, I actually wrote the After Dark, the first version of the After Dark.
And what year are we in now, to be clear?
What's that?
What year are we in now?
We are now in 2024. So it's been 27 years.
Wow, 27 years.
27 years ago, me and my friend Jamie and a guy named Andrew Oz-Cannell, who I don't know anymore, a girl named Kelly Horn, who I still do know, and my uncle, we played a game about vampires. Right. And I came up with this idea through that game. I was like, let's make a movie. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be an effects artist. I was a kid. In 1998, I was 17 years old. And I wanted so badly to live in Hollywood, not Pennsylvania. So
Hollywood, California.
Hollywood, California, not Hollywood, Florida.
I live in Hollywood, Florida.
You know what? I spent some time in Florida. But I wanted to live in Hollywood, California. I lived in the middle of the woods. We're writing this vampire movie. And in 1998, my favorite vampire warrior wrestler was on the top of his game, and that was Gangrel. And the Brood was big. And my favorite punk band of all time at that time was a band called Rancid. And jump ahead to 27 years later, and I made this movie, developed at 17 years old. I'm now 42. And the two people that were the top of my entertainment list at 17 are involved with said movie. And the girl who I wrote it with, still my best friend, just flew here from Florida, from Cape Coral, and she's going to attend the premiere. So this is all. Oh, wow. This is a super. Like today is a time warp, a trip. I feel like we're finishing the cultivation of a journey that's been going for a very long time. But to jump back to your question, in 1999, I dropped out of high school, moved to Los Angeles, California, and essentially I went to a makeup school that I took beauty makeup at and like character makeup design, but I wanted to be an effects artist. I wanted to be Tom Savini. I wanted to be a monster maker, monster maker Rick Baker, but I wanted to be Tom Devlin, the monster maker. They had an effects class, like a monster making effects class, and I did all this traditional makeup, and then they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have to wait 6 more months for the makeup class, for the effects class." I said, "Well, no. Like, I'm not. I'm going to go to another school, or I'm going to find something out." And they said, "Okay, well, we're going to give you an internship at WM Creations, which was an effects shop owned by Matthew Mungle, and he's a very famous makeup artist. He got an Academy Award for Bram Stoker's Dracula, so he's a very, very, very famous makeup artist." They said, "We're going to give you an internship there, a couple of weeks for free, while we figure out the class. We just need to get more students signed up." So I went to Matthews. And I walk in the door, and he's like, "Oh, hi, how are you? Can you do cotton and latex construction?" I was like, "Yeah, 100%. I've been doing since I was a kid. And he's like, okay, well, I need you to make 3 skeletons over there. They got to be on set at the end of the day. And that's for X-Files season 8.
Right.
And I was like, I'm working on X-Files? Like, I moved to Hollywood, dropped out of high school, I'm working on X-Files. Like, kind of why the rest of my class was still in, I mean, they might have graduated, but I don't know, you know. And I did these things for X-Files. 2 weeks into it, he hired me full-time, and I stayed there for 2 years. The school called me back. I remember I was on the back lot of Fox. And they called me, oh, your class is all ready. And I was like, bro, I'm on the back lot of Fox working with Gillian Anderson. And no, I'm not coming back to school. So I stayed at Matthews. My first movie was with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. It was Scorpion King. And I was a little kid, life casting, 19 years old, 18 years old, life casting The Rock. And I was like, this is my first movie. He's like, this is my first movie. And we had this cool rapport. And I made these arrows that shoot into his shoulder. And then I made these corpses similar to the X-Files ones for these poles.
So you worked with him personally to do all that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then,
so being a fan of wrestling, this is like,
oh,
this is The Rock. You know?
My life, like, I really thought you moved to Hollywood and it's that easy, you know? And I worked my ass off. Don't get me wrong. I was the first person there, last person to leave. I wanted this so bad. And they saw that. And they gave me opportunity. And then 2 years in, I left that shop and I went and worked at Buffy and Angel on a place called Almost Human. And then I got offered a job at K&B Effects. And I said to myself, I was like, if that was a huge effect shop. Like that's the WWE of effect shops, right? So like you go there and you're a lifer. That's it. K&B, that's big. Greg Nicotero, Howard Berger, at the time Robert Kurtzman, the biggest effect shop. And I said, if I go work at K&B, this is before Walking Dead, but Walking Dead would have hit just a couple years later. I would have never left. I would have worked there the rest of my life, you know? So I didn't come to work for the guy. I came to be the guy. So at that time,
you want to be the monster maker.
I cashed in my jobs with other people and I opened my own shop called 1313 Effects in 2002. And it is still running today. And I do mostly low budget to micro budget movies, well under $1 million, usually like 500,000 to $10,000 movies that we make monsters for, slasher films, horror films, sci-fi, you name it if there's a monster in it. And I've worked on about 165 feature films over the course of 25 years. And it's been a wild ride. And I never in my life thought that I wanted to direct. I wasn't a director. I was an effects guy. I'm a monster maker. I'm a tool of the trade. You know, the director hires me, tells me his vision. Even if I don't agree with his vision, my job is to give him what he's asking for. And that, I like that channel. I like to add my little things, but still please them, but be like, I'm going to give you that with a little bit of this, you know? And I gained a pretty good reputation for being a guy who could do it under budget or on budget and on time, which is a huge thing, getting it done on time. And then my wife, who has directed several feature films that I've produced and helped her make these little movies, I asked her to direct a movie called Teddy Told Me To, and she said no. And I was like, well, we're going to make this movie. And she's like,
she told you no.
Yeah. She said, I don't want to direct it. And I was like, listen, I made a character called Teddy on a movie called Face Off, or a TV show I was on called Face Off. It was a reality show about, in the wrestling world, it's kind of like Tough Enough, but mine was called Face Off. And I didn't win the show, but I came pretty damn close. Like 7 out of 8 episodes, I was a fan favorite. And I made this character that still I talk about every single day. Every day I talk about this show and this character. It's called Teddy from a movie I had made up, a fictitious movie called Teddy Told Me To. And so I said, I want to make the Teddy Told Me To movie. It's been 10 years since Face Off. They don't own the rights anymore. Like, let's just do this and kind of piggyback the fame that it already has. And she said, it's your story, you direct it. And I had never entertained the thought of directing. Like, I work with and for directors. So with that being said, I figured it out. She helped me write a script, and I directed that movie. And the first day, I got this surge of like, this is where I'm going with my life. This is what I want to do. Because of my experience working with directors, both good, bad, and ugly, like, you learn from their successes and you learn from their mistakes. So I've learned how to make a very efficient film on a very tight timeline. I don't want to say the lowest budget because I'd work great with a big budget. I just don't always have them, you know?
25 years of those loop-de-loops and hoop-de-hoops have been grooming you for this.
Yeah, and I really, you know what I really compare it to is, you mentioned Sin Bodhi earlier. I compare it to his career. At the beginning of his career, he hit the bigs, you know, he put his work in, but then boom, on television, WWE, whatever, big time. And then then became the king of the independents, right? And I feel I did that too. Like I did bigger work than I'll ever do. And people are like, oh, couldn't you imagine working on the next this or that? And I'm like, no, man, I worked on Terminator 3. Like, I don't need to work on bigger movies.
Yeah.
I like the when you're working on a small feature film with your heroes and they're beating the snot out of each other at 4 a.m, like, that is the most personal, passionate project you could ever be involved with.
I 100% agree. Going from being in WWE as Gangrel, riding that Brood moment. And then I still work every weekend, but it could be a show with 200 people or a show with 5,000 or 50,000 or how many watching. I still get the same love for Rushmore. So it doesn't have to be the big. I take it more passion to meet everybody and be more hands-on. Like with Championship Wrestling from Florida was a little project. Try to do. It didn't work. But I took so much pride in it, but I'm so proud, and I still think it's going to happen. But in my mind, it'll probably never happen. But I enjoyed it, and it was a different rush.
And how different is it from being a huge stage with 30,000, 100,000 people that you don't see or know, but then when you're in that VFW and those fucking people are yelling with passion, right? And you're like, I am changing that kid's life right now. You know, there's something very. I think it's so cool, and I want to be you. You know, I want to be you, but I'll do my best making films that people can see you.
And I appreciate it. I'm just blessed, and I say thank you to the fans all the time because without them, I couldn't do it. And again, it doesn't matter if it's 30, 40, 50, or 50,000. It does. It's those moments turning frowns upside down, and giving them a memory to last. Those things like that. And I'm an energy vampire. I'm a vampire, but I'm an energy vampire. So I steal off of them. And running a wrestling school, which Sin does now, which we do have in common too, is we're also training the future stars of wrestling and future talent and send them out there. But imprinting an old school way on them, an old school vibe, and still give them that coolio. You know,
I love that. I love it.
But you're doing it, and think you're employing and helping a lot of wrestlers. So this movie, The After Dark, let's talk a little bit about that and the people we have. You had Sin Bodhi, you mentioned Sin Bodhi. Myself, you gave an opportunity to. A guy that told you, I can't act. And you go, I believe in you. I go, I don't believe in me. But you go, I believe in you.
Here's the
I'm
thing.
scared. I almost didn't want to. You can ask Raymond. I was going to cancel because I don't want to. Because you said, I don't want you to see it till you watch it with everybody. And I don't want to watch it with everybody. I don't want to go hide my head in the sand like an ostrich. But
there's
terrified.
But you're an energy vampire, right? So the energy in that room, when you realize how much everybody loves what we've done, there's something special. As an independent filmmaker, it's like you can put on a badass match with Sin Bodhi, right? Or with another wrestler. It doesn't matter. Somebody that you work well with. But to do that in a room where people are emoting and cheering and, you know, giving you that pop, that's a lot different than trying to put it on in a room where there's nobody in there.
But what I see is a guy that goes, well, I didn't think this vampire thing through very well. Because I got old, my hair fell out, and I got even fatter. So I'm going to see the one scene, I'm sure it's in there where we're sitting there reading the news, and the belly's just in the white shirt. I go,
I'm sorry that you're so vain.
I am more terrified.
But here's the thing.
But you made me feel better than anybody's ever made me feel about doing something. You gave me more comfort and courage and confidence to do something. You did. And I thank you for that because you pushed me to do something out of my comfort zone. And I thank you for that because it also gave me a new rush. And when I left there for like 6 straight months ago, I need to go take acting. I really want to do this better. I want to have another shot at this.
But and then first of all, you were incredible. Second of all, I wrote a vampire for a guy who, in my mind, there was a good portion of my life that I believed you were a vampire.
Mine too.
I don't know. When you're like, I'm not an actor, I'm like, no, I don't want you to act. I want you to be Gangrel. But I did. And you're like, but I'm I can't use that, but I'm a Lobos. And I was like, no, you are vanished in this. That's the acting part. You have to be fancy.
Trying to explain to WWE the difference between
punk rock and fancy
and whatnot. And then they got such a they got such a bad taste of it because they slipped up and they got hammered by a White Wolf. I'll say it. Yeah. They got hammered by him. And they didn't fight it. And then they went back and they sold to another company who I don't even know. And then they used me on a Raw Anniversary show who went after him again. But then the judge said, get out of here. Yeah. And then after that, they didn't file on it. So I filed on the trademarks and the copyright. So I have all that. And, I'm gonna start checking into their stuff.
The thing is in my mind, you were the character. It was written for you. It was written for you 27 years ago. Yeah. Like it was. It's named after the bad guy from Ghostbusters 2, and it was always looked like you in the white frilly shirt, always the same. And for that 27 years, the crazy thing is,
see, I think the first Ghostbuster to State Farm.
I try.
That's what I see it now. Yes, I'm bad. You see it now.
I don't think you look that bad. I try. Well, hopefully, I don't know.
I lost a little bit since then.
Maybe I helped motivate you and I saved you. So there you go. But the thing is I tried to make this movie in 2000, right when I got to Hollywood. I tried to make it. I shot a scene outside of the old All-Star Lanes from Big Lebowski, all spray painted and cool looking. I shot some scenes in Echo Park. I was trying to make it. My buddy Chuck O'Brien was playing the Dax character, and I tried writing a script with my good friend Josh Cornell, who also is part of this whole story. Because in 2000, me and Josh sat down. He's an expert writer. I thought at that time we were both film students, but I thought this guy can write. But he didn't live the life I lived. Like I did grow up in a punk rock club, and I grew up loving vampirism and stuff. And when we were kids and I didn't know how to eloquently share my stories, I just kind of expected. He had a hard time hitting the mark, right? Like we couldn't agree. And I remember having dumb arguments with like, oh, he doesn't even know the smell of sweaty leather, It's like, nor should he. Like he's a writer. It doesn't matter. But
sweaty leather does have a smell. I know they smell well.
but then later in life, when I tried to write The After Dark with my wife, Lola, who's in the film, she's known my passion for this movie for 20 years now. And she couldn't feel up to the job. Kind of like the Teddy thing. She's like, this is your story. This is not my story.
27 years you carried this
and so I went back to Josh and I said, listen, remember that movie that we tried doing and didn't work out well with? He had written other stuff for me after that. Like, we know we can work together. I've learned how to collaborate better. And I gave him my notes and I gave him Lola's notes and he put it all together and put his flavor on it. And the After Dark, it's that deep. Like 2020 or 2000, we tried to do this and now it's 2023 when we shot it. And, that's 22. That's a whole lifetime. We were 23 years old last time we tried writing it, I
don't know. I'll forever have my memory you running around with 1 foot.
Yeah, with a broken leg.
Yeah, with a broken leg, you're filming it and you're ripping this thing in like my scenes in less than 3 days. Like 27 pages of verbal verbiage, and you're getting it done, and you're running there, and your wife's handling this, and she's doing the sign-ins, and it was like 5 a.m, 20 degrees in Vegas out there in Boulder City, and but it was just an awesome experience, and anybody you could see your passion and how hard you worked, and to put this together, and then I feel like, wow, if this guy can, and I haven't seen it yet, so I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to sit there tonight in a few hours, in like 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and watch it for the first time myself, terrified and also giddy inside.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, it's not Underworld, right? Like, I don't have $7 million. We didn't make Underworld.
That's not, what was it, Kate Beckinsale? This is pretty.
What we did with what we have, I am so proud of. Like, I think, I don't know if I've told you, but there's 6 people already that have After Dark tattoos. Only 2 of them have seen the movie. 2 of them have seen the movie, and 6,
I'm gonna have to get one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
They're gonna have to get.
You got to join the clan. But it's
never grow.
It is
never
so.
die,
it is so. It's like I am like a proud father of this film, and I've worked on a lot of movies, and I've been proud of some in the past, but this one is special. Right, wrong, or indifferent. The cool thing is it's got this punk rock edge, so any mistakes or continuity, you can be like, bro, that's punk rock. Like, we did it, whatever. And it looks good. My best friend shot the movie, Corey Clear, and that was because I had a DP lined up, and he had to go to a funeral, and he couldn't make it. It wasn't an excuse, But
He was
Corey
in Seattle or the Washington
yeah,
guy?
so Corey came down from Seattle, stepped up.
Nice guy.
And now we've done 3 films with each other, and he's moving here, and we're just gonna.
Oh no!
Like it changed our lives, you know. There's a lot that happened. That broken ankle, I'll never forget. I called you. I was like, "Man, I broke my foot in 3 places," and you go, "Well, we can push it off. We can push it off the shoot."
Yeah, because I was scared.
I was like, "No, I'm down. I mean, I got your flight book. We're going. It's go time." And I know you were apprehensive. I'll never really understand because you come off on TV. And in my mind, it's such confidence, just exuding confidence that I never saw that side of you.
It goes back to where I failed on a promo. I think it stuck with me forever. And it was one major fail. It was, they gave me 2-3 pages of verbiage, like words I didn't understand. I grew up pretty much in the streets. I didn't finish high school. I got a GED, but there was words on there I couldn't even comprehend. I was like, what does this even mean? And they said, no, you got to read the exact words. And this was what Michael Hayes, and I go on there and I blunder blah, 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 blah. I don't even know what they mean. And I look over and Adam Edge had the same amount of verbiage, and he like read one paragraph out of it, and I literally saw his face. He said, the heck with it. He went, beware, take care, the freaks come out at night. He just threw his whole thing in there. Boom, he went that way. I was like, like that way. So confidence wise, it really sent me in a downward spiral there. But people, since COVID, started doing lives. They started talking. They go, "Yeah, you're such a better talker now. You're good with it now." I think I just don't give a shit anymore. But WWE there was so much pressure on moving to the next level. And then when I failed at that, I think it just really put the fire out. You know, really just put me down. It was my fault, but I should have threw it out. I said, "You never grow. You never." I should have threw some lost bullshit out there, or fang in the man, want some, get some, bad enough, take some. You know, gone. You know, But I tried to read the words. I didn't understand it. So when you were helping, when you read me the lines, you're ripping them to me. I go, oh, gosh, I hope I'm comprehending this the right way. So pretty much I'm going to suck your neck and I'm manipulating you, young girl. And I don't want you hanging out with those bad punk rock clan of vampires, because that's Sin Bodhi. Dax is me. He's an evil man. He's undermining me. You know, I want to sit up tight in my penthouse and eat what I'm eating. Feed you all rats.
You look like just a mean ass dude that was not excited for any change to happen. You played the role how it was written. The crazy thing is, whether you read it for comprehension or you only read your lines or whatever it was, because I have always planned for you, who has a certain appearance and a look and a posture, to play that part. It was the part. You were Vigo, I can't imagine anybody else playing that part, you know. And there's little. And
I'm honored that you had me. And you waited 27 years. You tried it, but 27 years later,
it comes full circle. That's the universe just making. And it all worked out.
And then I think Sin Bodhi was a great pick and a mix. And that fight scene, I can't wait to see the fight scene.
Yeah.
Because it was so cold. And you go, we only got one desk, and we got one of this and one of that.
One take.
And I said to Sin Bodhi, I said, I'm so cold and I'm so tired. I am destroying everything because it is only going to be one take, because we're going to wipe everything out.
We had three cameras.
So poor Sin probably thought I was really fighting him, because I was like,
but it comes off. Every single hit looks like it lands, man. It's insane. And it was one take, 3 cameras, 6.5 minutes, go. And we wanted that They Live moment with Keith David and Roddy Piper, and we got every bit of that moment. And the stuff that there's just little nuances that worked out so well, because you're this big boss of fancy vampires. Fancy vampires mean like goth, very prim, proper, you know. And you wear long sleeves all the time, so we don't see your tattoo.
Very
and you're
Interview with a Vampire, if you want to go back.
But you still have the earrings. You still have the little bite marks. You still have the little stuff showing in your hair. But then Sin's character, who broke away from you at a younger age, he's covered, you know, and you could tell though, you two ran together. Before you became this grown up, before you became Captain Hook and he became Peter Pan, you guys were tight. And I see that in the movie the whole time, and I love it. And also, I have a sequel planned, and one of your henchmen takes over, and I have a good storyline between him and Sin that'll be in the sequel. So
hopefully we didn't spoil the ending.
no spoils.
But where can we get this out? Where can we see this? Where can people go? It'll be on Tubi soon.
Yeah. So
I don't know. You know all this kind of stuff.
So we run Plan 10 Pictures is my production company, distribution company, and we're premiering tonight. It is April 29th, right? April?
Yeah, I don't even know. To be honest, I don't even know what date it is.
I don't know.
I just look at my thing and it says you got a flight today.
I think it's April 29th. And then the movie should, barring no incidences with quality control or any weird stuff with the platforms, it should be released July 9th on Tubi. 9th. And after it comes out July 9th on Tubi, it'll hit Amazon Prime and some of the other channels. But really, Tubi is I tell everybody, Plan 10's home is Tubi because Tubi's like an old video store, right? You can go in, you can find new stuff, old stuff, TV shows, but massive amounts of horror films. And that's what we're...
Can they come out, like, if you're at a local horror convention, are they able to purchase it there?
Yes,
or are they able to come out and... We
have sold some advanced Blu-rays. And that was the deal I had with Lars Fredrickson, who's in the movie. He set up some horror conventions. And he's not this is his first ever horror film ever. Right. First ever film ever. And he was also very similar to you, very like apprehensive about, am I doing okay? Is this all right? Did I do okay? Is it any good? He was the first person to watch the movie and he texted me, bro, I'm watching the movie. This is fucking fun. And I was like, so I've sent him several copies he brought to 2 horror conventions and sold. So there is some people out there who have seen it. The Blu-rays will actually come out closer to maybe July 1st.
July 1st. And they'll be able to pick them up at the Tom Devlin Monster Museum.
At Tom Devlin Monster Museum, the physical copies, you will be able to order it online at plan10pictures.com. And I go to horror conventions every month. And I want to spread that out into the wrestling world too, do wrestling conventions, things like that. So that's kind of my marketing plan for this movie is to hit all 3 fanfares, the horror fans, the wrestling fans, and the punk rock fans.
And what are your socials so they can follow you and keep track of this too?
I have
because I know you respond, you read all that, you're on it, you're on top of it.
My personal Instagram and Facebook is Tom Devlin 1313FX, and I will respond, I will talk, whatever.
Because I have a lot of people asking me, they want to see this. Wrestling fans, they want to see it. And then I try to explain the movie, I go, hey, it's an older school vampire trying to hold a younger one down. Is trying to break out and get cool with humans, eat them, and whatever they want. And they go like, yeah, vampire. Then I go, it's a punk rock vampire. Oh, punk rock vampire, that's awesome. Then immediately they like, I'm that, like down. I didn't realize how punk rock was so over, so strong.
I mean,
with the wrestling community too. Like,
big time, big time.
Yeah, the Ruby Sohos and all
and
that.
That's the
brought
thing.
That in with
Rancid,
and stuff.
And Lars is now just last weekend in the Palms here. Last weekend he was here and he came out on a pay-per-view as a valet with the tag team. And
the Palms is busy.
Yeah, Palms is busy. But you can also go to Plan 10 Pictures on Instagram, and that's all of our movie information is on there. And the Monster Museum. I own a Monster Museum in right here in Las Vegas, Boulder City.
It's an amazing place. You got to check it out, Boulder City. Yeah. It's a must see if you're any type of a horror enthusiast or fan, and the amazing stuff they have in there. It's incredible. Yeah, so that's in Boulder City.
It's in Boulder City. It's about 18 minutes off the Strip, right next to the Hoover Dam. And
so you get 2 for 1.
Yeah. It's we usually most of our traffic is headed towards the Hoover Dam. They see the crazy cars out front, they pull over, forget all about the Hoover Dam.
It's awesome, and there's sets back in there too. The Monster Museum's here. There's actually got some sets back in there along the railroad tracks. It's a really, really cool place. I don't think you go see the sets, but I think it's just as really cool, that workshop, as the horror museum to me.
Yeah.
Because I know the magic that was created in there with the After Dark. So please, everybody, if you're a wrestling fan or a horror fan or a punk fan or you're a fan of it all, or you just want to check a great movie out, I don't know, I'm saying it's great because Tom Devlin directed. He's telling me it's good. He made me believe in myself, so I definitely believe in this cat.
My favorite thing, I have a behind-the-scenes interview, and you say, you are the most, you don't say manipulative, you say, what did you call me? It was the funniest compliment because you're like, oh, you're the most persuasive motherfucker I ever met, because you had kind of got cold feet at one time, and I wasn't letting you off the hook.
I still got cold feet.
Because I called you and I said, hey man, I have a role for you, a little horror movie, and you thought it was going to be a a cameo appearance or something.
on,
And then you got the script and you're like, I'm in the fucking movie.
Yeah, actual character, like main character.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And there's a lot of wrestlers you might recognize.
Paul
in
London.
That movie. Paul London.
Paul London does a great job. It's a very small part, but man, that dude,
he's got a look, right?
He's awesome.
He's something about him.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then we also had some local guys. Beast the Butcher, he calls himself, or Project Beast, Project West. He runs Versus Pro Wrestling, and that's a Vegas company here.
Yeah,
Leroy Patterson, who's the human tack board, mostly known from America's Got Talent, but he was in AEW. He did a lot of wrestling. He was on an MTV backyard wrestling documentary when he was 14 that I saw, and Mankind of all people, Mick Foley's like, wrestling's not something to be practicing in your backyard. Like he's kind of naysaying it. Well, Leroy's jumping off the roof of his house.
Oh, I don't know. I wrestled him one time for Sin Hubodi, who's in the movie, Nick. Had me wrestle Leroy. He came out with a baby. He looked like the guy from...
he's a jokester. The Hangover.
Hangover, right? So he's got the baby, he's got the glasses, but he's wrestling barefoot. We have mouse traps and this and that in the ring, and they're going off on his toes. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into with Simbodi?
Oh God, the freak show.
It's freak shows. But Simbodi is the other main vampire opposed to me in there. Was a protege, turned on me. I'm going to say he's a backstabber, and then I'm not. You have to check it out and watch out. But it's a really.
There's a really interesting history I have with you that you're aware of, maybe, but not quite aware of, because I told you I've thought of you for this movie since I was a kid. And then I met Simbodi working on Full Moon Films, and he was doing art department, and I was doing makeup effects, and we hit it like we're art.
I can see that.
We are art-minded fools and of the same brain, And so I did this wrestling show in Florida that I asked Sin to help me get some real talent for. I put the local guys, NEW, in Fort Myers against because I was living there at the time, and he brought Stevie Richards. And he brought Leroy came out, but then he brought Jake the Snake Roberts, and it was like we had and that was like Jake's first match back when he was healthy.
Do it better.
And we sat there and did this wrestling match. It was so much fun. The locals were like, "Holy shit, this dude from Hollywood really just brought wrestling." It was a big deal, backyard kind of thing. I've set up a ring in a parking lot, but then to repay him, because he did all that for nothing. And all of them worked for free. Actually, Diamond Dallas sent us a check because we were raising some money for a little girl. And then he said, I'm doing this freak show wrestling show out in Vegas. Will you come do clown and vampire makeups? And I came out, and it was fucking with you. It was Gangrel and Simbodi, clowns versus vampires. At that haunted house out on
we did the machete,
Michael.
The machete match.
Yes. So I'm doing all the clown.
It's one of my favorite matches.
I'm doing all the clown makers. I'm looking over there and I'm like, that's Gangrel. I'm gonna make this movie someday with Gangrel, but that's him, and I don't know him. And I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to talk to him, not because I'm like a fanboy, but because this isn't the moment. I don't have a script. I don't have a moment. So then we parted ways. I went home, back to Florida. I ended up moving to Vegas. And then I joined Snake Pit Pro Wrestling. Right. And then on like my third or fourth week of Snake Pit, which at that time I was in the best shape of my life, but I was 34. I was kind of old for joining Snake Pit.
To start wrestling.
Yeah. Especially in D'Lo's brain. Like he beat the shit out of me. But you came as a guest mentor. You did like a fantasy camp, and then you talked at our class. You came in and you told us your life story and everything. And I'm standing there like, this is too coincidental that it's been twice now. So when the After Dark came up, I called Sin and I said, hey, you think Gangrel will be in my movie? He goes, 100%. And I said, how should I reach out to him? He's like, I'll text you his number. And I was like, okay, here we go. And it all worked out, man. You were you were so responsive. And he did. He said, you got to treat him right. Don't ask you to come here for free, you know. And I wasn't rich by any means, but I tried to be fair. And he said, just treat him right. Tell him exactly what you're doing. And I think he'll totally be down. And he wanted to fight you, you know, and I thought that.
Sin's an amazing guy, and I can see how you guys would get along, and I'm glad that you reached out to him and he gave
it all worked out.
And I'm glad to be a part of it. And then now it's all full circle, and here we sit. We're going to go over and your movie's premiering.
It's premiering. It is a full circle, and And it's crazy, you know, the makeup effects world was so fun, and it still is. Like, I love making monsters, but I want to make my own monsters now. I don't want to work for other people anymore.
That's it.
I want to just do it for me and keep going. I mean, I still will work for other people. I have some locals that I'm in deep with, but I really just want to build the Plan 10 brand. And I think Teddy, my first movie, we call The House. Teddy is the film that built Plan 10, you know,
right.
And Plan 10 is the house that Teddy built. But the After Dark is the one that'll make it stick and build a fanfare, I think. Like, really, like,
I really hope so.
Like I said, there's people getting tattoos. There's people, I can't tell you, I sat at New Jersey Horror Con.
So just go ahead.
And I had at least 30 people be like, did you make that movie with Gangrel and Lars Fredrickson? And a lot of other people too, but yeah, I did, you know.
Yeah. People that have watched it, you've talked to?
I've talked to people that have watched it. And I talked to people that watched it that I don't know. Right. And that's a weird thing. Yeah. But they were...
So you're going to get an honest opinion if you don't know.
They were... And the people that I do know that have watched it gave me a pretty honest opinion. I have not had any negative remarks so far, and I don't have any reviews yet. So we'll see with the reviews. But, you know, they can be brutal. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't matter because... You know, as an artist, I don't know how much art you do, or surround yourself with, but it's kind of like this in wrestling. Sin Bodhi definitely gets this. He gets a storyline in his head that he has to tell or has to put out there. And as long as you can excommunicate that fucking idea and complete it and show it to the world, I like it or love it. I don't give a shit.
That's it.
You know, I love it.
Your passion.
It's exactly the movie that I wanted to see when I was 17 years old.
Awesome.
It's got that edginess of the first Blade. It's got that my favorite elements of Lost Boys without some of my least favorite elements of Lost Boys. And it has that sinisterism that you see in the Interview with the Vampire, which it all just comes together. I love it. I love the movie, and I'm so glad to have got it done.
And I'm so glad you had to be a part of it. And thank you for having me out to Vegas. And excited to do this. And everybody, Tom Devlin, please check out the Monster Museum. Plan 10 pictures. Get in there. Get on the socials and find it. Raymond will post them up too. So Shady Ray, he'll post them up, and where you can see him and give him a follow. Check it out, and then let us know. And when you do watch it, let me know, please. Good or bad. I see the comments. I read them and I move on. Sometimes if it's not about wrestling, I can get a little personal. This is new, so I'm wide open.
There's an interesting thing with the comments too, because you say good or bad, and that's great because if there's like a legitimate criticism, I will take note of that.
Well, it's not about me.
If it just says, this is shit, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's like, bro, I can see the reflections in the window. I know. I'm sorry. Guess what? The reason you can see reflections in the window is because they're not silver-backed. Silver has the problem with vampires why you don't see the reflections. Okay, so we're fine.
No, I'm sure.
But it's, I know they're going to happen. You know, but at the end of the day, it's not boring. There's no point where you're like, oh, fuck, what time is it? I better check my phone. Not at all. Like, it is just, it's an adrenaline ride, you know?
Awesome.
I enjoy it.
And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Anything else you want to push or anything? Any projects coming up or conventions?
There is, no, none at all. I have no conventions in the future scheduled right now. I'm formulating a plan to take the After Dark on the road. Between now and July, I will figure out the Blu-rays and try to do some exclusive signings and exclusive meetups where I can go to Allentown, Pennsylvania, or...
Oh, see, I thought you were going to take it and make it a theater show, so we'd have it all with the wrestling and the battle and the vampires.
So there was a time...
Like an opera type of...
There was a time where I was going to try to get you and Sin to wrestle before the movie started in old-timey costumes. But then I thought they need to enjoy their night. I don't want them sitting in a chair sweaty, like, you know, all blown up.
Sin would do it though. Sin 100%.
I know he would.
Sin would show up in that old.
But I want to go on the road with the movie, and I want to share it with the world, and give it a good push before we get into a sequel. You know, I really want to make a sequel to this movie. I have a very personal grudge with a prominent gaming company that I would like to make a sequel about.
Boom. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Tremendous. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That was episode 98. The Fame and Fame.
98.
Gangrel, special guest here in Las Vegas. Tom Devlin from the Monster Museum and director, special effects artist, everything. All the loopy loops, the hoopty hoops. He is now the vampire maker.
Yeah.
After dark. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tom, for calling.
Yep.